Hello everybody. I feel like we should talk about the lighting really quick. I didn't film it this morning, clearly. I usually like to film it in the morning because the lighting sucks at night, but it's okay. We're making, like, you can literally see it. Yeah, we're gonna ignore that. We're gonna film during the day next time because this isn't working. Now that we know, we have our love letter, and we know, sort of, maybe, hopefully we know where to start and how to start, and that it's the best thing ever to start. Now I want to talk about perseverance, and that's a word that God gave me, and I was like, I don't even know what that means myself, but yeah, we can talk about that for sure. Perseverance is sticking it through and sticking with it, and running the race. Is that a verse? I feel like it is. So we're gonna talk about how to stay with it and how to keep pushing on, because once you give your life to Jesus, your soul belongs to him now. So there's a verse, I'll have to put it right here because I don't remember it. I really need to memorize my verses. There's a verse that says that once we accept Jesus as our, savior, we later become his children. So we literally are his children once we accept Jesus as our savior, and the fact that he died for us. So once we accept that and we invite that in, and we invite Jesus into our hearts and say, yes, we choose you, we later become his children. And so basically what that means is that the enemy can't have your soul anymore. And that's probably a lot to take in right now. So basically, I think we all are aware of Satan and the enemy and the devil. Different names, same guy. He's bad. We don't like him. He lies. He's not a great guy at all. So he got kicked out of heaven. So now his goal is to kill, steal, and destroy. And what he wants mostly is your soul. He doesn't want you to be happy, and he doesn't want you to be with Jesus. So he's gonna distract your mind with all of these sins and all of these distractions. And so, mostly when we are not with God or not following him, that looks like sins. And, sins are enjoyable in the moment, and they're fun, and they're, exciting. There's nothing wrong with it. But when you later give your life to Jesus and you're like, yeah, I accept you, I believe in you, and I thank you for what you did for me, you're not really as easily falling into sin. You're trying not to, and you're actively trying to pursue him, and so you're going to stay away from sin as much as possible. And so the enemy is not going to so much attack your sin, or he's not going to throw sins and be like, hey, look how nice this is, why don't you come do this? He's not going to do that as much. But what he is going to do is just trying to throw you off track, because he wants your soul. Now that he can't have it, he's going to try everything to get you off track. And so that's when it gets hard, because there is a lot that comes with that. There's a lot of spiritual warfare, which is like that, where the enemy tries to throw you off track, and he's basically attacking you spiritually, and that's really hard. And there's also trials that you go through, and learning how to navigate your faith, and just a bunch of situations, like when it comes to like relationships or environments or anything like that, it gets a lot harder to navigate. I had this thing going on at one point in this past summer, and I was hysterical about it. And I was just crying to God, and I was like, I don't know what to do about this, like, I need help. And so he told me to read James. And so James is a really, really good book. Where is James? It's in the back, isn't it? Oh, there it is. So there's the first paragraph of James 1. We have it right here. I'm going to read it to you, and then we'll explain a little bit how that can resonate with us. James 1:2. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete and not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. And then in James 1:12, blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, the person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. So it's a great thing for you to go through trial, because in those trials you are matured and you grow a lot in those. We all hear that saying, like, you have to go through things to grow. And that's basically what this is saying, is that, although these times are really hard, it's not really fun and you don't really want to deal with it, but it's considered pure joy because you are then grown and you are then matured. And then in Romans, which you now know is my favorite book ever in the Bible, Romans 5:3. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. Guys, I really don't know what I would do without these little, the little Bible tabs with all of the... I think I'd be really lost, because I literally have learned where books are because of these little tabs. They're great. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Therefore, do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentarily troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Eternal. Oh my gosh, I'm like messing up my words, sorry. These trials can go in different ways and in many different forms. Like I said, maybe your environment, maybe school. School is just kind of hard, and, people are all around you, doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and there's this influence and it's really hard. Or maybe it's relationships, with your parents, or, a romantic relationship or a friendship, whatever kind of, relationship it may be. Or even in just navigating your faith, like that can be hard too. And, having people around you who may not believe in him and trying to, disprove God, that can be hard also. And that can be a trial, especially if, you were the only one maybe in your friend group or your family or whatever kind of group it may be. Maybe you're the only one who does believe in God, and that can be hard too. And so these are all different kinds of trials that are really hard. But I think in all things, God is just thrilled, absolutely thrilled that you're with him. He's obsessed with you. He loves you. He is so excited that you're there. So excited that you believe in him, that you want to try. And so, I think that the way that I look at it, it's like, he's telling you, like, don't give up. Like, I love you and I want you here. Please don't give up, And so there's a lot of things that we can find, comfort and wisdom and knowledge, all kinds of things that you can find, answers when you seek him and you ask for him. There's a verse that says, seek me, and when you seek me with all of your heart, you'll find me. Yeah, I really truly believe in seeking him before anybody else. I think that when we go and seek out for ourselves and we go and ask him these things, like, hey, God, what do you say about my friend group? God, what do you say about this environment that I am, or this relationship that I'm in, or what do you say about this situation that I'm in? Of course, we want to ask people who are stronger in their faith right now to give us guidance and understanding, but until God reveals who that person is that you should go to, I feel like we should probably go to him first before anybody else. There's a lot that goes on when you give your life to Jesus. There's a term called pruning, and it's just basically him going into your heart and the deepest parts of your soul and pruning out the things that aren't fruitful and the things that shouldn't be there. Like such as past hurt or betrayal or anger. Those things, he doesn't want those to be in your heart, because he knows, Jeremiah 29:11, that one I knew. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope in a future and not to harm you. Yeah, so that basically, you know, he knows the plans that he has for you, and sometimes these things can't happen. The things that he wants for your life, these blessings or these things that he wants to happen for your life, these plans, can't exactly happen if you're holding on to something that you shouldn't be holding on to. And I can say that from experience, where I've had some things pruned that I didn't exactly want pruned. And I now see why he did it, because I wouldn't be here. Like, I literally don't think that I would be where I'm at right now and today. And, you know, in my life right now, I really don't think that I would be there if it weren't for this thing to be gone and out of my heart. And that's just one example. Like, there's tons of things that he's gone and pruned me through. And that's a hard thing to go through, because that pruning is not easy. You know, like I said, I didn't want that thing to be pruned. You know, it was something that I cared about and something that I didn't want to let go of. And it can look like that, or it could look like, you know, these deep hurts in your heart that you've buried down from childhood that you don't even realize that are there. And so those things, you know, they hurt to bring out and they hurt to cut off. You know, I don't know if you've ever had a plant. I only know this because I've had, you know, family members who like plants. But when the leaf is dying off of a plant, they cut it off. And it's like, why would you do that? Why would you cut off the leaf? But it's because it makes the plant grow stronger, and it makes it a lot more healthier. Or kind of like when you trim your hair. Like, I have so many dead ends in my hair right now, but if I were to cut it, it's like, dang, I lost that big chunk of hair. But it's going to grow back healthier, and that thing is not going to be there anymore. And it's going to be much healthier and prettier and more comfortable. And so even if I don't want to lose, you know, a big chunk of my hair, sometimes it's needed if I really want healthy hair. And so I think that as Christians, you know, because we want to aim to be like Jesus, although we'll never reach that because we are not anywhere near as perfect as he is, we strive to be like him. We want to love like him. We want to talk like him. We want to act like him. And so that means becoming the best versions of ourselves. And so those things, you know, we might not want it to get out, and we may not want it to surface. Ultimately, it's a good thing. You know, we want to grow and we want to learn, and we don't want those things that aren't good there. But he knows you, and he knows your heart and your soul, and he loves you, of course, first and foremost. But he also knows what you need, and he also has your best interests at heart. And so, you know, like if you were to see your friend or family member, whatever, doing something you know they shouldn't be doing, it's not necessarily because, you know, you just want to take away their fun, but you also know that this isn't good for them, and you want to help them, and you want them to thrive and be the best versions of themselves. So I think that that's how God looks at us as well, where he's like, hey, like, I love you, but also I think that maybe we should start working on healing those parts that hurt, because once these are healed, now we can move over here where you can thrive in a better place, where you can do this thing and do that thing. You know, I don't know, whatever that looks like. But those things have to be, you know, out. And so that's, you know, just one thing. There's so many different trials and things that we could go through. But you know, like we went through those verses earlier, those trials and those things are really good. Not feel good, definitely not feel good, but they are good because they mature and they grow you as a person, and you know, it's ultimately in your best interest. And so I think in those circumstances where it's like, I really don't want to do this right now, like I really don't want to, and I know that I'm supposed to, but I just would much rather avoid it. Been there, done that. You know, he calls you his bride, and so the church, which is us, is married to him, so we are his bride. And so he is so faithful and so committed to you that he was like, yeah, I'm gonna die for you, actually, because I love you, and I'm that committed to you, I'm that faithful to you, I'm that loyal to you that I would die for you. And so I think what has helped me is just knowing that, and knowing how committed to me he is, and how loyal he is to me, and how committed he is, you know. And so that like inspires me to be committed also. and being like, yeah, you know what, I don't like this, and I don't like where I'm at right now, and I don't want to do this thing that you're asking me to do, or and I don't want to deal with these things that I'm dealing with, but also you died for me. That was the biggest act of commitment anybody could ever do for me or will ever do for me. And so I'm going to commit to you the same way, which is dying to your flesh and picking up your cross and going to him. And so, you know, staying firm in that is really hard. And, you know, it's not easy at all. And especially, you know, if you had just given your life to Jesus, you know, like that, there's a lot that happens and a lot that goes through, and it somewhat gets a little harder. The difference is now that you have Jesus, and he is the ultimate comforter. He's the ultimate, you know, foundation. You know, he is so reliable, and then you can lean on him anytime, anywhere, regardless of the situation. Nothing is too much for him, by the way. Like, he can do anything. And there's been times where I've been like, I don't know, like, this is a lot for me to handle. And he's like, hey, yeah, but I literally rose from the dead 3 days after I died. I can handle it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, sorry. Like, don't know why I thought that I even can compare. Like, he has done so many cool things that, you know, what is big for me is not big at all for him. And he can heal it and fix it, and all of these things, he can make it for good. He's literally an artist and can work so many things at once. He is so detailed, and so he can do these things, and it's not too hard for him. But, you know, remembering the fact that he, you know, one, is so committed to you that he died for you, you know, that's what keeps me inspired to stay committed. And also knowing that it's maturing me and it's growing me as a person, and knowing that he can do anything and he can handle anything. When those things take place, remember that you can lean on him and you can go to him for comfort, and that it's maturing you, and that it's fruitful. It's replacing the bad with the good, and it's because he loves you and it's in your best interest, and not at all because he desires you to hurt at all. Like, at all. Like, he wants, that's the last thing he wants, but he also wants you to be happy, and he knows that some of these things are weighing you down. And I think that goes all back to, you know, the fact that everything in the Bible comes back to love. So even through these trials, and even through, you know, pruning and situations and relationships and environments, all these things are hard and they're tough, and, you know, we don't want to go through them, of course, but because of God's such strong love for you personally, he wants that to be resolved, and he wants that to be healed, and he wants that to be, you know, fixed. Like, if you were to see your kid doing something, you know, if you didn't really care about your kid, you'd be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care what you do. I don't really care what you gone through, and I don't really care if you turn out to be a terrible person, because I don't care. But because he cares so deeply, like, I think that's insane for me to even process, is the fact that, you know, a God knows my heart and my soul so deeply and, like, cares about it. Like, he loves that. And he wants to be like, hey, like, we should fix this because I care about you, and I want you to be happy, and I want you to be healed, and I want you to be who I made you to be. And so, like, all of these things really just come back to love. And so, you know, I hope that this was just encouraging to you, you know, to stick it out and to keep going. Literally just keep going, because it's gonna get hard, but you have him, and he's right by your side, and he's like, okay, take my hand, we're gonna go through this together, because I'm not gonna make you go through this alone, like, ever. He's never gonna leave you. I hope that this was encouraging. Like, I really do, because it's a hard thing to go through, and it's, you know, it's not easy. So I pray that you would stay inspired. Yeah. Thanks for listening to me talk again. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.